Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another videos, another paid request. This time for PsychoHobo. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for the 1998 film Pi, directed by Darren Aronofsky, who will go on to do Requiem for a Dream and The Wrestler, two films I do enjoy. This is done in black and white, fairly low budget. And it's pretty much the story about a guy who he's very good with numbers. He's trying to find the big meaning of pi and also the big meaning of... It's pretty much a movie about how when you're consumed and obsessed with something, it's going to lead to madness. And then that's going to lead to one of two things. You either let it go and escape from it, or let it consume you. And that's really what this guy is that he knows these math problems by heart, and he has this professor who is a mentor to him. He stays in his room most of the time. The only people he really interacts with is vaguely, little bit with this female neighbor, and you have this little girl that always asks him these math problems. He's able to answer them very quickly, and she has this kind of calculator. What's this? I'm like, where's your mom? Stop asking strangers and bother them every fucking day about inane questions, little kid. Get the fuck out. And yeah, this guy kind of talking about how there's patterns everywhere in nature, and anytime he sees something, he thinks how that works into his problem, his math problems, his what he's trying to solve. This big... Because what he's trying to do is see if he could predict the stock market, among other nature. Although it doesn't seem like he really cares about the money, it's more about being able to solve it. Rather be knowledge or just this obsession to see if he's able to solve this thing. And the machine he's working on fucks up. So he doesn't really know what to do. He gets these headaches. He's twitchy. He's paranoid. For these headaches, he takes these pills. And you just see how this obsession is just consuming him more and more and more like a cancer. And then you have these weird folks coming out of the woodwork, like these people that this lady keeps wanting to have a meeting with him, and you realize that they kind of cares about him and his stock market predictions, and maybe to work for us. And then you have this Hasidic Jew that is talking with them about the Torah and the number and code, and how ultimately it results in this 216-digit number that our lead character finds out, that apparently his mentor found that number in the past, and he tells him let him go. As he puts it, when your mind's obsessed, you'll find the thing everywhere. Which is true. I mean, it reminds me of the number 23 with... Although I would say I like this more than the number 23. Because I know I'm going through the plot. The movie itself, it was interesting to watch. This kind of guerrilla filmmaking, down and dirty, black and white. A nice kind of dissertation on madness and obsession. Trying to be a little bit like Eraserhead, although this is much more understandable than Eraserhead, is not as confusing. And there's some bits of trippy scenes where the guy's losing it. Like there's a bit in a subway where he follows his blood trail and he's wondering where this is going, and he sees like a brain and he's poking it, but then he gets a headache. So maybe he's supposed to think like as if him poking his own brain. It's like you keep doing that, it's like stop poking the brain, stop with your sense of madness and obsession, let it go. As John Rambo would say, let it go. Let it go. And there's some interesting ideas, like the 216 digital code, and how the Hasidic Jew thinks that this is... If we're able to solve this code, it'll be the true name of God. And then it's like the movie's kind of making you think, is this guy kind of being affected because, kind of like Moses seeing the burning bush, did God, or maybe not even that way, is it one of those things that, someone would say, well, the reason we can't hear God is because if we heard him, our ears would explode. We can't see God because if we had seen him truly, we would go blind. And I guess maybe this case, if you knew the true name of God, you would go insane. So it's like maybe, because he mentions how he just heard the number in his head, and as if some higher power told him. But at the same time, is he just saying that because he's fucking crazy, or there's something more to it? I just maybe you're led to assume it's just him going crazy, but maybe you look into a more ethereal if you want to. But I'm guessing it was more about him and his madness. I mean, it was interesting to watch. Again, like I said, that type of guerrilla filmmaking. You definitely do get a sense of being the guy's shoes, of him going crazy like this. And how you can almost kind of understand his paranoia with some of the other characters that want to interact with him. It is one of those though that is more interesting than entertaining. It's called Pi, so I would think it'd be more about solving what pi is. I have seen this film once before, a long time ago. Didn't remember anything about it. And I remember when I first saw it, I thought it was about a guy that was obsessed to find what the end of pi is. Just pi is infinite. But what if this guy was trying to figure an end? There's got to be an actual end to pi. And that was his obsession. Because then I thought, well, why else is it called pi? And to be perfectly honest, I don't know why it's called pi, because he doesn't really even talk about pie that much. Not poontang pie, not apple pie, not pumpkin pie, or barely talks about the equation pi. Because like I said, it's more about him predicting the stock market and all this other stuff, and then again, this 216-digit code that might be the name of God or whatever the case. And what's the meaning behind it? So again, there's a part of me that's like, well, where the fuck does pi come into this? What the fuck? Like I say, it is what it is on that front. I wouldn't say we really get to know a whole lot about the main character in terms of his backstory, or like I said, other than his obsession, that's really all we know about him as a character. So I wouldn't say he's unlikable, but at the same time, when that's really the only thing you know about him is his obsession, you kind of, what else can I really gravitate towards the person? Because there's really nothing else to describe his character other than that. So I guess that's why I wouldn't say he was the most interesting character, or maybe that's the wrong word to use. Not the most, favorite of characters. But like I say, it's interesting some of the techniques of the direction. Like there's this cool shot where the camera will zoom right into the computer screen and then right to up close of a number, and then you have this white light. And like I said, there's some of the trippy dream scenes. Like he dreams of a minute where he's in the bathroom, he's going to drill himself in the head. Like I said, it does have a bit of a Lynch Eraserhead feel to it. Again, just not nearly as confusing. So it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Like I said, I didn't hate the film. It was interesting to watch once. The way it ends, spoiler alert, is that these guys who are working with the stock market guys, they pull like a gun on him, and then the Jewish guy saves him. but then they want the number. He kind of tosses a little bit out. He says some stuff to get himself out of that situation. And then he comes home, and then he kind of drills into his brain. Now, number one, I don't know how. I guess we're to assume he lived because he's out in the park, but because he did that, he doesn't have that ability to think of numbers in that way. Like the kid asks him a math question, and he's like, I don't know. So it's one of those things that kind of bit of an easy way out where it never really talks about how the Jewish guy stopped going to him or the stock market guy stopped harassing. You think they'd be adamant because they pulled a gun on him. Did they just find this out off screen and then they left him alone? When he drilled himself in, did someone find him and save him? There's really, with the female neighbor, nothing really came of that. It's not like they got together or they became friends or lovers or, they did nothing really came of the female neighbor character and their few interactions together. I'm not saying that has to, I'm just saying nothing ever came of it. But it does seem like the guy's happier. And maybe that's the point, is that when he's able to get rid of this obsession, no, he may not be as smart, but he seems a lot happier, a lot calmer. And maybe it's that phrase, ignorance is a form of bliss. At least that's the way I took it, was that ignorance was bliss. Which is true. It is true. Because that's why he's not as twitchy, he's not as paranoid, he's not as obsessed. So you may not know the secrets of the universe, but at least you're a lot happier for it. So maybe I wish the ending was a little bit more of these loose ends tied up. Like even there was a bit where I don't know how. I had to think about it for a while. I would say definitely Requiem for a Dream and The Wrestler are more my cup of tea when it comes to the director. But it was interesting. Keep using that word, because that's the word that comes up. It's still a film that I did not hate watching. I wouldn't say I loved it, but I didn't hate it either. So I'll letterbox that website. I do have like a list of movies, and I try to give like star ratings. It's hard to give it. I would say I would at least give it a 3 out of 5, just because you do see a talent there in the director, and in my opinion, he did get better. The acting wasn't too shabby. Like I said, it might not have been the most exciting movie, but again, there's some neat directing touches. And like I said, it does create a bit of a sense of this guy's madness, obsession. So you are put a little bit into the guy's shoes and into that feeling. And I can appreciate that. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.